I saw this TikTok come across my feed. Let's start here since this is where I first heard the news. And then I'm going to show you the context. Hasan Piker saying he might vote third party. Let's talk about it.
Disappointed in
Who do
Gavin
you vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom.
Me
of
too.
course, 100%.
I wouldn't blink.
There's no
What
doubt.
about you, Hasan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like,
I never want to hear Hasan is progressive or cares about marginalized group ever again, because if you could still fix your lips to say you're willing to vote third party in 2028, there is no way you actually care about marginalized groups. And it's like, when are you guys going to notice? Hasan Piker does better when there's Republicans in office and he can do this outrage and be in headline after headline versus when it's Democrats in office. And when you mention the tax breaks that he gets because he's one of the elites, don't forget that. You can't fool me that he doesn't benefit that a Republican is in office versus a Democrat. And you guys claim this dude is so progressive. What candidate has he ever propped up? What proposition has he ever propped up? What progressive thing has he done? To me, all he ever is reactionary. We've been asked leftists, give us a candidate, give us someone you're willing to stand behind. Have they given us anybody? No. All they ever do is critique and criticize Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom because they are the most two popular and trending politicians. They don't ever create anything. They only react, and you guys eat it up. These people aren't progressive. They aren't caring about marginalized groups. They only care about their wallet. And at this point, you can't tell me Hasan Piker doesn't benefit from Republicans being in office and the outrage he creates and the tax breaks he gets versus when it's a Democrat or somebody else in office.
Okay. So of course I wanted to look up the context because you know me, I'm a context girly, and I think that's important. And I also, I've talked to a lot of progressives who felt similarly where their state they were living in was gonna go Democrat anyways. And so they just wanted to send that message. I also want us to think about Hasan as a leader because again, my biggest criticism of Hasan is like, whether he likes it or not, he is the guy. And so he has a responsibility. And if he doesn't want the responsibility, he should switch his content to gaming and mukbangs. Because as long as you are the largest progressive political commentator, your personal decisions need to be quiet versus your public ones because you are influencing people in a particular direction. So let's say maybe Hasan Piker has viewers who are in more swing states or states that go traditionally Republican. Maybe they shouldn't be voting third party because we need to send a message to Republicans, right? But maybe somebody, because Madeline Pendleton did the same thing. They voted third party in California when this last election happened. Okay. I have friends in more Democrat states who went Democrat that voted third party because they felt like that was a good bet to make. And so there's some conversation to be had here. But because Hasan is the largest voice, he has the largest influence. And because, he has that influence, how responsible is he? And is he ready for that responsibility in any real way? Right? Okay, so then just before I show you the context of that recent clip, 2 years ago, this is a clip from Hasan Piker as well on third party voting.
As I've said, your vote doesn't matter, but your vote extra doesn't matter if you vote third party. Like it's basically like writing a name on the ballot, like a funny name. You know what I mean? Like Dick in my butt or something. But instead of writing a funny name, you like took yourself seriously and you were like, no, this is good. As I've said, your vote doesn't matter.
Okay, so that was 2 years ago. It's just a small clip, so just keep that in mind. And look, I'm not a fan of Gavin Newsom. I do not like Gavin Newsom. I've met Gavin Newsom. Fun fact: don't like him. Met him at a Pride parade. Shout out to Pride. Always a protest, And so this clip is from I've Had It. They did a collaboration with Fear and I've Had It, and this is Austin and Hasan on I've Had It. So here's the question at the end towards the podcast. Here's the clip. Here's the context.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's say that Gavin Newsom becomes the nominee, that we make it through midterms.
Devastating.
Do you vote for him over J.D. Vance?
I don't know.
God damn it, I'd probably be at the fucking DNC. I know.
Oh, 100% I would be too.
Yeah.
But
I would.
This is what I hope. I hope if for some reason, but I actually I think he's really shot himself in the foot recently.
Mm-hmm.
What I hope if Gavin Newsom were to ever become some sort of nominee, which I'm not rooting for, by the way.
Even though he's easy on the eyeballs.
He's very attractive. But I think that because he's such a career politician.
He's such a thirst trap for the Oval.
I know, but like, why? Like, to me, I'm like, my hope is that like maybe he could be a blank canvas and he would just be like,
This is you relapsing.
no, not relapsing. My hope. This is my hope. But this is if he becomes a nominee. But
Guy who has controlled the Democratic stronghold of California with an iron fist and the veto pen is going to magically become.
I'm not saying I think it's going
a
to
social
happen.
Democrat.
I just said that would be my hope. But I'm also not. This is not my.
You're
I'm going to pause our Lebanese brother here. Me bag, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate you so much. Really do. Thank you so much. And then chat says, would you vote for JD Vance if he ran as a Democrat? Listen, you know, and that's the thing. I think that's the thing, that there's so many layers to this for sure. There's the personal reason you do things. There's the role model reason you do things. There's the ethical reason you do things. There's also the case of like knowing your state's going to go Democrat. So you sit this one out because you're fucking sick that day. You know, you're fucking chronically ill and you're disabled and it's too hard to get to the voting booth because you know it's going Democrat. You're not worried about it. There are so many layers to what it means to participate in voting. And remember, if you vote, I honestly think you're kind of privileged because most people who are voting are privileged enough to get their work off, to show up to the voting poll, to vote early, to get their ballots, to even feel good enough, smart enough to vote in the first place. So even though you're not in a privileged position, you're still pretty privileged to be voting in the first place. A majority of Americans are not actively voting, right? Available voters are not participating. And a big part of it is because they either feel overwhelmed, discouraged, they're not interested, they feel it doesn't matter, right? And now we have Hasan Piker basically saying it might not matter. Now listen to me when I say this. Two things can be true at once. Your vote might not matter and your vote matters. This is philosophy. Remember, we do philosophy through pop culture. Okay, that's my work. That's why I left politics, because I didn't want to have to win at any cost. I wanted to ethically, you know, move the country in a direction or move the people in my life in a direction. So you have to hold these contradictory thoughts in the same hand, right? I'm voting for maybe a genocidal pro-Israel candidate, Harris, and I understand that this is not good, right? I'm voting for Gavin Newsom, and I understand he's not that much different. Or I'm not voting for Gavin Newsom because I live in a state that's going to choose him anyways. I make a stand in this way. I protest in this way. I mean, we're talking about liberation. Some people are talking about, you know, registering and getting guns and protesting and like taking over, you know, literally civil war. And then we're talking about voting. Like, there's this idea in progressive bubbles where they'll say, you guys all want liberation, but no one's willing to kill for it. Or you want liberation, but you're not actually willing to put your body on the line. Or, you know, everyone has their own version of what they think the next step is, right? You know, have you seen recently the campaigns to get people to not pay tax this year? As a form of, you know, again, movements work in numbers. They work less so if you don't have the numbers. So the dilemma is like people think, well, okay, if we all agreed not to pay our tax, that would be, wow. Could you imagine if 50% of Americans didn't pay their tax this year? Whoa. But that's not going to matter if only 2% don't pay their tax. The government's just going to round up that 2%, put them, you know, give them a penalty and call it a day. So the fear is, I'm going to show up, but are you going to show up? And then the fear is, who are the leaders that are going to encourage us to show up? Now, we have some good news that we are able to rally. Protests happen. The No Kings March. I think there's another one in March, right? There's like the numbers were there, but what did the numbers represent? Now, this all matters though. Like this makes a difference. We know protesting works. We know rallying people works. We know helping the community works. So we also have enough data to say, hey, it kind of matters. You know, the question is, are you playing the right role? So this goes back to what we've been talking about this whole month. Do you know who you are in the story, and are you fulfilling your role? Does Hasan understand who he is in the story? And is he being responsible with that placement? Or if he's not happy with it, is he willing to give it to somebody else? You know, there's so many things going on here, right? Okay.
At this point, I'm
You're
extraordinarily
selling it to yourself already.
extraordinarily
to vote for him.
disappointed in
Who do you
Gavin
vote for,
Newsom.
JD Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom.
Me
of
too.
course, 100%.
I wouldn't blink.
There's no
What
doubt.
about you, Hasan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, because my policy on this is the same as like my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive but also unconscionable. And I still stand on that. I still talk about it all the time because people constantly bring it up. They're like, you didn't sufficiently like promote Kamala Harris. You're the reason why she lost. And I'm like, I am incapable. There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not real, right? If I had this singular force to be able to make Kamala Harris the president, then Kamala Harris should be coming to me every day and being like, let me do a collab with you, please.
Totally.
Right? That's not the case, of course. And they know it. That's why they didn't do it. But the campaigns are always responsible for whether or not they are able to win the crowds, win the population over, and you know, combat against the couch. Not necessarily even against the Republican Party, but usually you're fighting against the couch, people who just don't go out and vote. And for me, the way I see it is if the Democratic establishment makes this decision one more time, just as they did with Hillary Clinton, just as they did with Kamala Harris, and in some ways just as they did with Joe Biden as well, which led to Trump too, then they just don't care. And there's not much I can do.
Let me tell you
that.
something. I agree with everything you say, but as a person who lived in a red state for 50 years, I would crawl through 10 feet of concrete to vote for Gavin Newsom, even though I think he's duplicitous, a hypocrite, a thirst trap, hungry for power, all of the things that you say, and harms the Democratic Party and sets the psychological soil to be more prey to fascism. All of that I agree with. But there are so many young, queer, black, brown, marginalized people in red states. And even though this corporate Democrat is, you see it in a long-term game. In the short-term game, a President Newsom over a President J.D. Vance means that these people have some protection because these.
As a queer person, when I saw Gavin Newsom collab with Charlie Kirk, when I made Gavin Newsom at Pride all those years ago, I didn't feel safe with him. And I still don't. I think he would be willing to throw us under the bus the moment it became convenient. His recent collaboration with Ben Shapiro, his constant desire to collab and build bridges with bigoted people. I, think that's, for me, I don't think he cares. I don't think it's an embodied belief. I am I've been born and raised in California my whole life. I'm technically an Arizona resident right now because I lived in Arizona before I moved to Europe. Yeah, there's something about this that I think so ethically, Gavin Newsom is just in the gutter. He is an immoral, unethical person, right? Politically, if your goal is to win, you do have, and this is why I say separate philosophy from politics, because philosophically, ethically, it's different than how you win games. Politics is about games. It's about winning games. So the question is, if you have to rally around Gavin to win the game, will you? The question is it really worth winning the game? That's really up to you. You have to make this decision and live with it. I met a man during last election and he had told me I voted for Trump. And I said, why would you do that? He goes, I wanted the world to see how bad it would be so they would correct their actions. And I was like, that's not humans. Nowhere in history have human beings ever thought to themselves, oh yes, this has never worked. This psychological move he tried to do is not a thing. So I think Hasan is right in the sense that he is right to say that the Democratic Party, for them to put up Gavin Newsom, he's not even our person yet, of course. But if they do, if he is the nominee, it is like a slap in the face. It's a little bit like, somebody's robbing your house and he takes off the mask and it's Gavin fucking Newsom and the Democrat Party. And you're like, the fuck? It really will feel that way because it is that way. And so that, it's almost like I can't tell if Hasan is personally, genuinely impacted emotionally from this. And that's why he's making this stance. Or if he is making a strategic move. I don't know. I'm not a defeated person. Again, my soul is liberated. My spirit is liberated. I want all of us to be spiritually liberated. You know what I mean? As Ace said to Yamato, okay, why are you letting this man keep you in chains? Yes, he literally has your life in the palm of his hands, but why does he have your spirit? Thank you, Ace. Okay? My spirit will not be in chains. Okay, no, actually, this is Black History Month, and chains sounds a little bit like, not to downplay what happened to enslaved people, but that, caged better. Caged. I don't want to keep my spirit caged, and I think that's the point. So the question is Hasan being responsible in the way that he is expressing his frustration? As an influencer, probably not. Probably not.
Red states, here's what has happened in red states. The Democratic Party abandoned the 50-state strategy. So you have Republicans or a Republican that switches party as a Dem, and their goal is to out crazy each other. So in Oklahoma, we have like 0 Muslim population, but we have banned Sharia law like 4 times. You have a guy that's running for governor right now that's so against transgender people that he has a commercial where there's a banana and he slices it with a knife, like this.
Didn't Gavin Newsom throw trans people under the bus when asked about trans athletes, just like Kamala Harris did? If you're willing to throw trans people under the bus anyways, just to appeal to conservatives, like what's the point?
Somehow people are going to start whacking wieners off at school in Oklahoma City public schools where they just put the Trump Bibles in them. So
basically, the difference is, would you want to vote for the person that says black and white people should be separate, or the white lady who says black people's hair is so great and she doesn't see, skin color? It's like, oh, who are you voting for? Gavin Newsom is basically a white person who's like, I don't see skin color. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's better than the person who's advocating for segregation. Thanks. But it's not our end goal. That's not where we want to go. And yeah, Chad says both are dangerous. Like, both are dangerous. And that's the problem. Like, both are dangerous. So it's like, that's the spot that I feel like we're in. And it's like, okay, what do we do now?
You have this, that people out crazy each other, and these state governments are so fucking unhinged. When you live in California, or New York, where I live now, you lose touch, even before Trump, of how diabolical these unhinged right wingers are. And I agree with you. I think Gavin Newsom has committed political suicide. I think Kamala started off her campaign well, and she should have stayed to the left and leaned into the hell. Thought she was liberal anyway.
Did you guys see her little headquarters TikTok? It was like 6'7", 6'7". And now she's like come back. She's back on TikTok, and they're making all these guys. That was so fun during her last election. We love that. Thank you for the memes. Also, now can you please lock the fuck in? I don't understand why no one is like. There has been a great shift. There is a great shift that has occurred. We are now, the house is on fire. Do something. And Kamala Harris is on the grass going 6'7", 6'7", and I'm like, oh girl. Please, like, we need water. Okay, we need to get this fire under control. We need sand. Okay, like, focus.
So why not just lean into it? Yeah. But I would enthusiastically crawl through 10 feet of concrete for all of the marginalized people.
Do you feel like the Democrats know that, and that's why they get away with their ineptitude?
100%.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm like, I don't even entertain that stuff, especially this far out from an election. But even in the primary season, that's.
By the way, I don't vote third party. I'm not about to vote third party now. So just FYI, like, I have no intention of voting third party. I'm also voting for Arizona, so I'm not going to do that. But I think you better be so fucking strategic with your third party vote, or you should be quiet. In terms of politics, in terms of winning, here's my suggestion. And again, I'm not in politics, I'm in philosophy. But if I was in politics, I tell Hasan to shut the fuck up and sit down and really ask himself, what is your goal as an influencer? What is your goal with the biggest microphone? And how are you going to move the community in one fucking direction? Because right now, you're acting like you are not the loudest guy with a microphone, and you're just willy-nilly sharing your thoughts. Oh, I might vote third party. I might go vegan. I love ice cream. It's like, girl, this is not like your time to brainstorm out loud. We do not need to hear your inner thoughts. We need to hear your well thought out ideas.
Immediately the conversation is like, well, whoever is the candidate, you're going to vote for them, right? And you know what's really indecent about that too? They never returned the favor for left flank candidates.
Yeah, no.
Because no one ever made hay about Bernie Sanders potentially becoming the candidate, and all of the articles that came out about how Trump might be more.
Wait, Chad said, I think he's talking about the midterms. He said this is far from the election, like we won't comply in advance. Does that change anything? Do you guys think that changes anything? I mean, obviously we're heading into the primary, but like, does that, for me, that doesn't change anything. You know what I mean? Now, you don't have to vote Gavin Newsom necessarily. It depends on what our options are, right? I guess the question is like, do you, if that makes sense? I don't know. You guys have to make a decision. I'm not saying yet what's up, but what are we really talking about here, I guess?
Preferable to Bernie Sanders. Because
Chet said maybe it's about signaling to the Dems to do it better. Now, if he did that, well, why doesn't he rally? Like, does he have a campaign going on right now, like a rally? Did you see the guy who told Hasan, like, hey, are you gonna like be serious eventually and actually like do something with this platform, or are you just gonna keep playing around? Did you guys see that clip? I'll try to find it after this. And I was like, see, that's the question. Hasan's like, oh, no. And like, this is, and the guy's like, yeah, but are you going to do something with it? Or no?
They were writing those. Liberals were writing those articles talking about how, the head of Goldman Sachs, who was like, I'm a lifetime Democratic Party voter. I think, Donald Trump is better than Bernie Sanders.
I know several people personally that went on that Bernie Sanders.
The head of Goldman Sachs, who was like, I'm a lifetime Democratic Party voter.
I see.
I think, Donald Trump is better than Bernie Sanders.
I know several people personally that went on that Bernie Sanders to Trump pipeline.
No, it's a real thing.
It's a crazy thing because these, Bernie appealed to the anger of these young people that couldn't, they couldn't afford, the cost of living, healthcare, everything like that. He appealed to them, just like Trump does, but obviously.
Okay, I'll give you a real answer. Chet says, who's your optimal choice? I'll give you a real answer. They don't exist yet. Politically, they don't exist yet. I don't even think they're born yet. Yeah.
Trump solutions are, blame it on the immigrants, the trans people and everything like that. But it's crazy to me that these people exist.
I'll tell you what's really started to change me a lot is when Zoran, who incredible candidate, laser focused on affordability, laser focused on universal human rights, did not have to throw one fucking group under the bus. I've had Cory Booker on my podcast. He talks about we've got to get rid of corporate money. We've got to get rid of Zoran did all of that. And, Hakeem, day late and a dollar short to endorse. Chuckles never endorsed. And then Cory Booker never endorsed. And the way he was treated by the Democratic establishment is so appalling to me. It really opened up my eyes because I'm like, this is the new shiny object right now in the Democratic Party. He has a formula. He has it. He has the movement. He took on billionaires. He took on the Democratic establishment and he kicked their fucking ass. It didn't take one corporate dime. And the corporate Democrats trying to distance themselves. I was like, oh, they really are MAGA light. They really are.
They didn't just distance themselves. There were people that distanced themselves. And then there were people that were attacking Zoran in the most
with Islamophobia.
Like Kirsten Gillibrand coming out and being like, Zoran is a jihadist who wants to kill all Jews.
Yeah.
That was insane. That's like shit that Trump doesn't say about Zoran. Trump now loves Zoran, but like even before.
Well, okay, Chez says, how do we hold elected officials accountable once they get into office? Well, okay. This is a philosophy channel. I keep saying that because I need you to remember that I am answering this philosophically. The world is a reflection of humanity as a whole. We will always be the problem as a species. Humans will always be the problem. We do not accept that we exist on a planet. We do not understand why we are here. We are not introspective, and none of us are the exempt from responsibility. Okay, we are consistently exploited, taken advantage of. We're consistently in denial of our own needs. We don't go to therapy. Hasan has never been to therapy, right? The biggest man with a microphone won't even go get help himself. He's so fucking rich. He won't even go to therapy, which, by the way, money is one of the most, the number one reason why people aren't able to even get therapy when they want it. He has it and won't even go to therapy, right? And I don't know if that's changed in the last few months, but last time I checked in, the man has not gone to therapy, right? We are the problem. We are not doing the work. We are not asking ourselves, why do we hold prejudice? Why are we bigoted, right? Why are we doing what we're doing? What is the purpose of our existence? What does it mean to be a good person? It's really hard to be a good person. It's incredibly hard to be a good person. Chad says therapy is not helpful. And then Chad said therapy is not an answer for everyone, but not even trying as a tool. No, folks, lock in. You are not exempt from being impacted by the world around you or your brain's chemistry. You are suffering. You cannot tell me your mental health is good enough that you are not going to see a medical professional and then tell me you can't figure out how to save your money and stop overspending, that you can't figure out why you keep getting into toxic relationships, that you can't figure out why the fuck you're cutting yourself right now and why you're chronically depressed. Don't come to me and tell me the universe is ending. But you won't do what needs to be done for your own brain. And I understand it's hard. Your girl put her therapy on a credit card. Your mental health is impacting everything else in your life. And our leaders are mentally ill, and it's impacting all of my life, our life. What is the first thing people say about Trump? He's BPD. He's a narcissist. He's all of these things. Go to fucking therapy. Therapy, your mental health. Philosophy, your spiritual health, your why, your ethics. Be serious or move out of the way. The world is in chronic, unwise suffering. And everyone wants to point the finger, point it at yourself, not in a Republican pull yourself up by your bootstraps way, but be the example. Do the thing, walk the walk, embody the beliefs. Actually ask yourself, why do I believe this thing? Why am I fighting for this thing? Therapy is mental health help. Go to a medical professional and check in. Hey, girlie, I'm suffering with this. I have a problem with this. What about this? And look, maybe your therapist goes, honestly, you're in the clear. You're good. Well, then why am I still struggling? Philosophy. Therapy without philosophy, not that helpful. You have to know why you continue to wake up every day. Otherwise, getting up every day is going to get really fucking hard. And then, your mental health will suffer. And now we're back in the cycle. I went to therapy. My mental health is good, but I don't know why I wake up every day. Now I'm depressed. Now I'm back in my therapist's office. Boop. There's the cycle. Okay? How to be a whole human being. You have got to get your mental health under control. Your physical health, whatever that means to you, right? Your financial health, whatever that means to you, doesn't have to look like other ways for other people. It has to look how it works for you. Okay? Who are you in the story? And what is your relationship philosophically with existence? Does Hasan know who he is in the story? Because right now, he certainly doesn't seem to understand it. Or is he exactly who he knows he is in the story? A guy who's wasting everyone's fucking time, pretending he gives a fuck, with the largest microphone and the biggest bank account, and a very handsome face, doing absolutely nothing. Because he's not being serious. And I don't mean absolutely nothing literally, because all of us are doing something. But I mean, with that microphone and that position of privilege, he could be doing more and he should be. And if he doesn't want to be the guy, move aside because there are people who should be taking that place. But see how he won't give it up? So when we move through life, not every tool will work for you, yes. But to say you don't need to check your mental health is to imply that any of us got out of living under white supremacy and patriarchy wound-free. It's as if saying growing up in these homes where our parents certainly didn't go to therapy didn't impact us. As if we are not constantly moving and repeating cycles of our childhood trauma. Okay? That's the point. Chat says many Americans can't even afford rent because of billionaire greed, let alone therapy. Yeah. So we have to change the system. The system should change as a reflection of us. But let's be real. White racist Americans in this country kept you from getting healthcare because they didn't want black people to have it. They kept you from getting free education because they didn't want black and brown people to have it. That a majority of Americans are still so fucking racist and bigoted, so prejudiced, that our country is a reflection of us as a whole. And as a whole, we are deeply, deeply suffering. So the system doesn't change. It is a reflection of us, and therefore it changes. The problem is us. That's why later in stream, I'm going to talk about how the world sees us, because I don't know how you don't understand as Americans that you are living in the capital. You are the most wealthy, one of the most wealthy countries in the world, and our people are suffering. We are not high on on happiness scales. We're not high on education. We're not high on healthcare, which is why people don't think we're a first world country anymore. Which is why James Vanderbeek, a celebrity worth $5 million, went bankrupt doing cancer treatment and died at 48. We'll talk about it later in stream. America is the problem. Humanity on a global scale is a problem. Femicide is up globally. We just participated in the protest with South Africa. The world is in a constant cycle of deep suffering. And everybody is waiting for somebody else to fix it. You are either going to participate or it's not going to happen. Everybody must participate. How you show up, though, and lock in is specific and dependent on you. What is your role in the world? Not in politics. Fuck politics. What is your role in humanity? What is your role in the family? What is your role in the neighborhood? What is the role in community? We don't know. And you keep waiting for people to fight. Billionaire greed is real. But you know what else is real? They are utilizing your vulnerabilities, your psychological vulnerabilities, in order to convince you you need to buy this thing from Amazon. You really need it. Oh my God, if you don't have it, your life's going to end. If you don't have this new car, no one's going to be your friend. If you don't have these new shoes and you're 35 years old. You haven't left high school. You are still acting like it's high school, and what your shoes are makes the cool kids like you. And that's why these billionaires are high school with money. Look at Epstein and Trump and all these men, Elon wanting to hang out with these pedophiles, all of them wanting to be together. We keep telling ourselves this administration isn't growing up, but we're not growing up either. And I say that as a 36-year-old person who admits every day that like she's not ready to be the adult in the room. But I'm working on it. And if you don't work on it, it's not going to happen. Okay? Chess says this is a privileged take. You live in Croatia outside the problem. Take a moment to think about how you criticize others for not doing enough while escaping the problem. Yeah, again, there is a privilege in the fact that I live in Europe, but remember that I am still fighting. There is a dilemma here with this thought. You're not understanding the context of the situation. I don't live in Croatia because I escaped America. I'm lucky that I live here, but America wasn't an option. We couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford the immigration fees. I didn't know where to go. Croatia took us in, right? I'm away from my family, my friends, everything I knew. I gave up my whole life to move here, right? I'm paying tax to 2 countries to live here, okay? I'm still chronically ill. I'm still neurodivergent. I'm still all these things. So I hear you. It is a privilege in some aspects, but we didn't have a choice because America was too expensive. We couldn't afford it. Just like any other person leaves their country to be with their spouse, I expect you to do the same. If your home country won't take your spouse at a price you can afford, then you move everything you know into a country where you don't speak the language, you don't have anything here, in hopes to build something new with your partner. Not only do I vote in America and my family is still there, so I'm very heavily invested, but I might have to go back someday. Remember, I'm here as a guest. There is a very good chance Croatia could say, hey, we're not going to renew your visa, back to America. And then we go back to America and I start the whole immigration process and it's a big deal. So yes, I am privileged in the sense that I was accepted into a foreign country that let me do here, right? Let me be here. But you act like I'm not invested in America. You act like I'm not going to be there. You act like there's not a high probability I end up there as an elderly person, you know? And I still vote. Yeah, and I still vote. Most Americans who live there aren't even doing that much. And I don't blame them, by the way. I'm not going to blame them because I know being a human is really, really hard. You said, I'm not saying you're not doing anything. You said various times you don't even participate in Croatia with other people. As a fellow European person, Spanish here, you will eventually have to. Where are you coming from? Why are you yelling at me? Why are you even coming at me? You don't get it. You think you get it and you don't. Why are you coming at me? A queer person who's actively, literally been told by European governments not to travel to America because I am queer. A person who is constantly out here voicing her opinions against this administration. A person who is a Syrian whose family's from Iraq. Why are you yelling at me? I know I'm privileged. I have white skin. I show up white in the world. I know I have privilege. I'm red female. I know I have privilege. We all have privilege. I'm saying you don't understand the humanity perspective. Would you rather I just got up here and make mukbangs? Would that be helpful to you? You're not serious. You are not seriously understanding what is happening. And in Croatia, we have also participated in protests here because the local economy is begging us to. The locals have asked people. The locals are suffering. And we have participated. So what do you want from me? You don't know because you don't know me. You keep thinking you get it, but you don't. You said, I'm not yelling. You're saying Hasan isn't doing enough. He is literally living in hell trying to solve the problem. Oh, you're Hasan Glazer. Bro. That's the problem. I'm not Hasan. I don't have 1 million followers. I don't have millions of dollars. I'm not in that position. I don't want to be in that position. But he is. This is, someone said this about Mendamni. They said, love him and I'm going to vote for him. But starting tomorrow, now I'm going to hold his feet to the fire. Now I'm going to criticize him. You can love Hasan, but hold him accountable. love your politicians, but hold them accountable, right? Why are you coming at me, who in my position of power is doing exactly as much as she should be doing? I'm doing exactly the amount I should be doing. I don't even make six figures. I don't have enough money to buy a house. I have to do all of this work, right? Like everybody else, but I'm not Hasan, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, why are you holding me to Hasan's standard? Hasan is in the position of power here. Why are you punching down? You're punching down right now. Why would you hold us to the same accountability? That's what I'm saying. So be serious. You can restate your statement if you would like, and we can be serious, but you're not being serious. I have every right to criticize Hasan, right? Okay? Do you want to restate your statement? You know? Chat says, so like all the influencers you are criticizing, we can say very similar things is my impression to me. I don't know what that means. You can expand on that if you would like. Chat says, Hasan is living in hell. Are we sure about that? LOL. Chat said, I'm not yelling, but you were saying Hasan isn't doing enough. Okay, I already read that. Let's see. He's not really trying to solve the problem in a productive way. Hasan is not living the rest of us like the rest of us. Let's be clear. Yeah, Chat said he's living in hell as he sits in that mansion. Well, he has a nice house, you know, it is what it is. Girl, look at the chat number. I'm crying. What is it? I don't get it. What is the number? Am I missing something? Chat says, that's not what they said, though. Can we please argue in good faith? Well, I don't know what they were saying. What are you saying? You said, girl, we're in hell. I'm in hell too. That doesn't give me an excuse. Yeah, we're literally all suffering. That's what I'm saying. Who's suffering more? The millionaire Hasan Piker or the people who don't even make six figures, who make 30, 40, 50K trying to make it work? That's what I'm saying. How is Hasan suffering more than regular people? He is doing his job in the position that he has agreed to be put in. The people put him in the position, he took it. But you actually think he's suffering more than a school teacher who can't pay for her classroom's pencils? You think he's suffering more than people that are dying because they can't buy, they can't do their medical care? Do you think Hasan is literally the most suffering? They suffer in their own way. Give him credit. Give him roses and flowers for the way that he is suffering. But do not give him more than the person who's literally drowning because they can't afford rent when Hasan could afford to pay multiple people's rent. Okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm happy Hasan is successful. I'm glad he tries. But he is in a position of leadership and power, so he must be held accountable. Okay? That's it. That's it. Okay? I wish you the best. I appreciate you said English is my first language. I'm having a hard time replying to your critiques. Just stop critiquing me against Hasan Piker. Critique my work, not my opinion of Hasan, right? That's the point. Chet says, so you got criticized for not doing enough, but you said you have reasons for moving the way you move. Everyone has that, and everyone has something better off. And guys, fucking, do you know my work? Do you understand what I do here for a living? Or are you trying to critique me through a political bubble? Everybody is doing their best. Even the guy who just robbed a grandma. Every human being is doing their best. I fundamentally believe we're animals on a planet who lack a huge part of free will. We can only do what we can do. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, yes, Hasan can only do what he can do, and it's not good enough, but it's good enough. Both of those things are true at once. Okay? You have to hold the contradiction of being a human being in the palm of your hand. Hasan is doing enough and it's not good enough. You're perfect the way you are. Now change. This is a philosophy channel. This is a philosophy channel. Okay? You keep criticizing me as if I am some political commentator. I am not. Okay? I'm a philosophy channel. Let's go back to the video. You guys can decide to fight in the chat or ask me questions.
Like the fact that there were establishment Democrats that were more Islamophobic towards Zohran Mamdani than the president, who is the top Islamophobe, was mind-boggling to me. It was yet another moment of vindication, though. So for me, it's like, I think these guys are zealots. The establishment Democrats are zealots. They have this defense of liberalism that they will not shake off, that they think they will be able to go back to business as usual politics no matter what. And even if it doesn't happen, even if we do turn fascist, they'll still hold their cushy positions and they'll be complacent and they'll be fine. And that's what I'm terrified of. And that's what I'm very frustrated about. And I think a big part of that argument does revolve around harm reduction voting. because harm reduction voting is correct. It's
Yeah.
it's right in theory. It is correct, but harm reduction voting does not actually lead to Democrats winning decisively, and it certainly does not force them to legislate appropriately when they are
I
in
agree with that point. I do agree with
power
that point.
to make sure that they're following on their agenda and that they never have an incompetent fascist win office ever again. That's precisely the reason why I try to stay away from harm reduction narratives to the best of my ability, because that is the
Versus I philosophically believe in harm reduction, but maybe not when it comes to politics necessarily. But when it comes to like everything else in life, you know, remember that Hasan Piker has not exhibited any deeply held progressive beliefs that are embodied in his whole being. Remember that if you look at him in a critical lens, he deeply plays into the system, and in my mind is not progressive enough. Like in my progressive bubbles, if nobody knew who he was and they only took him for the details that he was, they'd be like, oh, you're a liberal, right? He doesn't have an embodied sense of being. What is his relationship with the environment? What is his relationship with overconsumption? What is his relationship with capitalism? What is his real relationship with capitalism? Don't fucking come for me right now. He does pretty good in a lot of areas, but what is his embodied sense of being? Like, what is his held beliefs about humanity? How does he treat people? How does he really, understand? Like, look at his friends. Look at the circles he's in. Look at the way he talked about doing a collab with Asmund Gold the other day. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to debate Asmund. Why? 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 At this point, would you do that? I'm saying, where is his embodiment? It doesn't exist. And so he's not responsible enough to have this microphone.
reason why democratic complacency is calcified in this country.
I agree.
I agree. And I hope that during the primary that we are able to find a more progressive candidate that will run as fearlessly as Zoran Mandami in New York.
I agree. All right. Any last grievances that you would like to share with the I've had it listeners? What is it?
Yeah, Chad says, y'all, we're not saying he's a villain. We're saying his role is bigger than our role because of his reach and popularity and influence. So he has to hold himself to a higher standard in his public self. Thank you, chat. Thank you. Fucking someone came to school today. Thank you, chat. Now, my Discord said, I want this to come off productive, not critical. The idea that we should expect more from people based on the position they find themselves in, power or lack thereof, is unhelpful. I think we should expect the people who occupy all positions of power to reflect the people we see in positions of the powerless. Humans gonna human. Expecting more is why we let ourselves down, why we overestimate and then are defeated. We need to build our systems and build our advocacy in ways that take into account human nature rather than demanding ideals. I expect teachers to be more responsible than their students. I expect politicians to be held to a standard that's different than a person who works at a grocery store. That's what I mean by like your position of power, right? I do expect you to understand. This is why I say I do not want the responsibility of Hasan's microphone, but it doesn't seem like Hasan wants it either. He's just there. That's my argument. I'm saying I know I'm not ready to be responsible in that way. Hasan doesn't, and he still allows himself. He won't give up the microphone. That's what I'm saying. These are not the adults in the room. These are not our wise leaders. There is no wisdom here. There's no wise discernment. Politics is not about wisdom. It's about power and control, even when you claim to be progressive. I'm saying, do you have the humility to admit you are not ready to be the adult in the room? And I don't see it. I don't see it from these people, and I certainly don't see it from politicians. That's what I'm saying. Now, let me see if I can find this fucking clip, because it was pretty fun.
I've heard what a lot of people are saying.
Please! I still have that link as the default TikTok link. Hasan Piker... When are you going to be serious? Let me see if I can find it. Oh man, I wish I could remember this clip, who he was interviewing. Oh, does anyone know what I'm talking about? It was so funny, but it was like it was so real too. I started laughing. I was like, yeah, it's kind of funny. Asked, are you gonna run for office? This one.
Have you thought of running in elections?
No.
Who put this music over it?
Well, why not?
I don't. Because
Look, it's a horrible thing to do. I've done it. I can confirm that it sucks.
Hold on. I cannot. I cannot with this music. Hold on, I'll find it for you. I'll find it. I'm smart enough. Sometimes.
Have you thought of running in elections?
No.
Well, why not?
Because
Look, it's a horrible thing to do. I've done it. I can confirm that it sucks
yeah,
big time. But it does the job. Someone's going to do it.
I know, but
These people have to vote for someone.
well, I have my people. That's why I'm.
Yeah, okay, you have your people, but not everywhere.
That's true.
And why should these people have their lives destroyed by being elected and not yours?
Well, it's not even about like my life being destroyed necessarily, because my life gets destroyed all the time doing what I'm doing anyway. I mean,
come on.
No, I'm able to.
You're having fun here.
No, I know, but I'm able to overcome it regardless because I have like built this resilient base of support and I have ways of working around it. But my point is there's a finite amount of time and energy and effort that I can spend on this. And I feel like this is how I can maximize my output.
Sure.
Doing agitative propaganda, I think, and also creating a community that is then going out and participating in their own local elections, as many people in my community have already, to success.
At some point, you have to go to graduate to the level where you take their voice and you put it into some kind of Congress, maybe a state one, maybe a federal one.
I don't know. I know a guy.
Get ready.
I know a guy. His name is Cenk Uygur. He tried to do that and he failed spectacularly. So,
Well, failure is okay.
yeah.
I mean, in 1905, the first Russian Revolution failed, and it gave us Sergei Eisenstein's magnificent movie, The Battleship Potemkin, which was an important first step towards the real thing. Have you thought of running?
Okay, hold on. This chatter I was going back and forth with says he honestly is the only hope the USA has unless someone better shows up, which I don't believe will happen because you got to be a game player to even play the game. Are you talking about Hasan? Are you 15 years old? Is this real? Are you fucking with me today? Am I misunderstanding you? You think Hasan Piker is the only hope the USA has? These white men always keep winning. These white men will always win under white supremacy. Let me tell you, everybody loves to root for a white man. Oh my God. Hasan Piker? Jesus fuck. Sure. Damn, that's crazy, bro. I can't even process that information because it's just so, I think you're well-intentioned. I genuinely think you really believe that. And I think that is so misplaced, your hope in Hasan Piker. And I don't blame you for that. You're not at fault. But it is exactly why humanity is suffering so unwisely, right? Imagine thinking Hasan Piker. Hasan Piker could disappear for the next 20 years and we would not miss him. He's not the guy you think he is. Genuinely, do you guys... Wait. Are there Hasan fans who think he's like Malcolm X or something? I hope you know he's not Malcolm. I hope you know he's not... He's just not that guy. The arrogance to think you were that guy. You know what I mean? The arrogance to think Hasan Piker is playing that role. He is not a philosopher. First and foremost, a lot of these men and women, they're philosophers. Hasan is not a philosopher. He holds no foundational belief philosophically about the condition of the human being. That is what makes a great person a great person. Unless you are viewing them through white supremacy. Then, money and power. Hasan, money and power. That is his legacy. Philosophically, devoid. Okay? Philosophically void. He needs philosophical foundations to be one of the greats, even though flawed. Okay? And it feels like sometimes when you guys talk about him, to be fair, it's only one person, it's like you think he's Malcolm X or something, who was one of the greatest philosophers. And so that's the mistake I think we're making in a lot of this. And you can be great and flawed. We know James Baldwin, great but flawed, right? We know all of these great minds, great but flawed, but first and foremost, philosophers, right? First and foremost, philosophers. And then they brought their philosophy to politics. Hasan brought his ego to politics. That's my criticism of Hasan, is he's not philosophically in it. And that podcast we just watched with the girlies, look, I like watching political commentary, but it's always so devoid of philosophy. It's always devoid of values. Like, okay, values are the foundation in which we build our morals and our ethics. Morals are your personal rights and wrongs. Ethics are society's, okay? Your personal values, okay, they are your why. And I don't think we know Hasan's deep embodied because he doesn't know, okay? If he's not doing philosophical work, he's not going to therapy, what tools does Hasan utilize? Does he meditate? Does he self-reflect? Does he journal? What tools is he utilizing to know himself? He's not. The future, that's why I say if you're actually, let me answer this comment from chat the other day about progressives. This is the difference between when I say progressive and when other people say it. Your progressivism has to be philosophical, not political. It should inform your politics, but it should be first and foremost philosophical. Liberation for all, a deconstruction of bigotry, a deconstruction of patriarchy and all of these things, a dismantling of a lot of these systems, right? Let me see if I can find it really fast. Give me a second. This one. Okay, this was on my Rebecca Watson commentary video yesterday. This was streamed yesterday. It says, I don't know why you assume that people that don't choose to be progressive or play into these gender norms haven't deconstructed and or don't know who they are. I'd say someone like Shira7, Sprinkle Sprinkle, actually understands patriarchy, but instead of choosing to do the good thing, aka try to make things better, she's choosing just to do what's best for herself. Not everyone chooses to be a hero, is what I'm trying to say. Personally, I'm leaning towards the path she went on, and not specifically her lifestyle, but not being a hero and using the system to my advantage. I don't see people worth it for me to fix of this, so I choose myself and my own benefit. That's called a liberal. Okay, here's Shira7.
Him, I'm neurodivergent. You don't tell them nothing. Have y'all not? Do I tell him I'm neurodivergent? You don't tell them nothing. Have y'all not been listening? Why do you? No, you never tell them nothing. Tell them what they need to know, and that's about it. Your bank account. You tell them how much you want in your bank account. You give them your Cash App information, your Venmo, and your PayPal. That's the only thing they really need to know.
So Shira7 is in the anti-patriarchy but pro working within capitalism bubble. So her whole thing is like, you know, I'm never going to make the money, or my money is my money, his money is our money. She's in that bubble. So yeah, if you're thinking this is where I want to be, this is my philosophical finding, you're not a progressive, okay? Philosophically progressive, right? Moving into the future, liberating people from the constraints of even the fact that like this thing matters whatsoever. This is a philosophy channel. I think you are more than your body, you're more than your skin, you're more than your gender. I'm a gender deconstructionist. Like I think we should gender deconstruct. I think we should everything. I'm not saying you don't have a gender. I'm not saying you don't have a body. I'm not saying you don't have a skin color. I'm saying you exist outside of these things. I think you're also more than your thoughts and your actions. Hasan is a real consciousness, and he is more than his thoughts and actions. There is more to Hasan Piker than this guy we see on stream. But I don't know if he knows that. I don't know if you know that. And I'm saying that's the problem with all of us. You don't even know that you are more than these things, because the world tells you the only way to view your reality is through the lens of how they see you. You don't know who you are. You've decided you know who you are because people have told you. And I get that. That's really good input. That's really good data. I also want to know how people see me and understand me. I also want to know why my life goes in a particular way because of how I'm viewed, right? Especially as an autistic person, like, it makes so much sense why people view me the way they do, because like, yeah, I see it, right? I'm saying knowing that and liberating your spirit from that viewpoint allows you to really show up in a way that no matter what the world is doing, you do the right thing, okay? No matter what the world is doing, you do the right thing. That's really, really hard. I say, don't be a good person. Don't try to be more of a good person every day. Be less of a bad person every day, because all of us are bad. All of us are good. Now, good and bad are, I understand, very limiting words that mean different things to different people. But generally, it's a flawed being. We are flawed. We can't be perfect. Okay? Hasan Piker is a flawed being, and I'm deeply empathetic to a lot of his traumas that have happened because I know they exist. He's talked about them. But the fact that he's not willing in his position of privilege to do anything about it is really difficult to... It's a really difficult thing for you, for me as a viewer to trust that he has the wisdom to know what to do when he doesn't know how to help himself. I really believe unless you know how to help yourself, you can't help others. Right? I really believe that. And I think that's the problem, is that you keep saying he's our only hope. How is the only hope a white man who hasn't gone to therapy? The only hope for salvation is a white man who hasn't gone to therapy? Did we do this already? Haven't we already done this before? You know what I mean? See how humans repeat? We just repeat. We repeat cycles. The world is a reflection of us as a whole. And I'm telling you this right now, our liberation isn't going to come from a white man who won't go to therapy. Okay? Discord said, do you have anything to say about how we mobilize the wise and reluctant in these situations rather than trying to foster wisdom in the ignorant and overzealous? Let me see. Is this... you said, I worry that the wise may never approach the podium because of their wisdom. The ignorant are ignorant of their ignorance, while the wise see the edge of their competence and what lies beyond that. It's the paradox of sight. Well, it's the same thing with children, right? Like sometimes the best people to be parents are the ones who have chosen not to be parents because they understand the deep responsibility of being parents. Yeah. But that's why I say the biggest realization, the biggest philosophical realization I had is like, no matter what you do, the world will always be the same, but you got to do it anyways. The world will always be this way, right? You still got to try. It's this idea, this ignorant, childlike idea that one day the world will be different. The world's never going to be different because humanity will always be the same until it's not, or even if it isn't, you still try. This is Britt Hartley's work. This is my work. We do philosophy work. Britt Hartley talks about this. I did a collab with her where she helps people through their nihilistic stage because it is a very hard stage to go through philosophically, but you got to get out of it. Because the truth is that you shouldn't do the right thing because the world will change. You should do it because it's the right thing. I don't sit here and vote or participate in the world or clean streets or help people or do anything I do because it's going to matter. I do it because it's the right thing. Now, I don't believe in objective morality. So the question is, well, why is that the right thing to do? Well, there seems to be a lot of data that shows doing these things harm reduces. And if everybody was doing that, the world would surely change. But see how you won't do that until you have a guarantee of the change? Oh, I'll only be good if I know I'm going to get something out of it. Oh, I'll do the right thing if I get the credit. Oh, I'll do the right thing if I get paid. Oh, I'll do the right thing if... But you won't do it for the sake of doing it. Right? Chet says, I'll shut up already because there's no point to trying to defend my point to multiple people who choose not to understand. Well, have you ever thought that maybe you don't understand our point? You know? Like, that's the point. You say, this is why I cannot reply to 5 people. I just said Brittany's privilege as well as Hasan, although not in the same way. She had someone to escape to, while plenty of people cannot escape. I didn't escape America. I didn't escape America. You're not understanding. I know English isn't your first language. I'm deeply empathetic. I didn't escape America. I didn't escape America. You keep putting a narrative on my story that isn't true. I did not escape America. I did not have the money to immigrate my partner to America, so we chose to live in a different country. And his country gave us refuge. I didn't escape. I'm immigrating. I'm immigrating. You know, immigration, you ever heard of it? I'm a big fan. I'm immigrating. Congratulations. Just like my parents left Iraq to come to America, they immigrated. You could immigrate. Because once again, it's not about privilege. It's about desperate, privilege, need. I'm not a white American coming to Europe to have fun. I'm not on vacation, bro. I'm immigrating. Okay? You said, well, you aren't dealing with ICE like many Latinos and people of color have to because they cannot leave. You do understand. And I get what you're saying. And that's true. And in many ways, I would not be picked up by ICE, generally speaking. But you do understand that I've also been warned not to go back to America because there's a chance I might not get out. You do understand that every time I go through an airport, I'm always pulled aside for extra screening because of my name. You don't know my name, okay? You do understand that like Hasan was pulled over, I might be pulled over again, right? I'm saying we understand the risks and we're doing our best. I'm saying do your best. I'm saying all of us are suffering. Everybody has privilege. Do your best. I am so saddened for the people that are struggling so deeply, right? So deeply with what's happening from ICE. But like, none of us are experiencing the same thing. Like, all of us have privilege. Every single person has privilege. I'm saying do your best with that privilege. I don't know. You keep doing this thing where it's like, well, you're not suffering in the way other people are suffering. I know, Habibi, nobody is. Nobody's suffering the other way people are suffering. Okay? Discourse said an Irish guy just got got by ICE. I know, I saw that video of the guy who said it was basically like a modern day like Holocaust camp. You know, I get it. You're suffering, but why are you taking it out on a streamer and not understanding also the different privileges that we're all we all have? I know you're mad, but I just don't get why you think this is the space to express that anger, or like why you're coming for me right now. Like, why are you coming for me, bro? It's because you think you're playing the game. Like, again, does it not matter that I'm queer? Does it not matter that I'm a Syrian? Does it not matter that I'm a woman? Does none of that matter to you under this administration? Do you think none of that matters? Do you think that's coming in my favor? Do you think my privilege is that I am queer? That I'm gender fluid? That I'm autistic? Like, that's what I'm saying. You're doing this weird game, and I'm saying I don't need to compare our suffering. We're all suffering. And all of us have different forms of privilege. Okay? And again, I do think there's a difference between being a person who comes to a country to escape America and pay low prices, which I'm not doing, and a person who's trying to immigrate and participate and be good to their community. Okay? Chet said, I only had a problem with your take that Hasan isn't doing enough politically when you don't speak politics. You are bringing all this stuff up I never mentioned. Okay. When are people allowed to criticize Hasan? That's my question. When are people allowed to criticize Hasan? Can you give me something you're critical about Hasan with, and then I'll tell you you don't do enough politically, you can't criticize him? Go ahead. You can't. What a ridiculous standard. So what, you can't criticize Hasan now because no one's doing as much as him? That's what you just said. That's a ridiculous standard. And that is the standard that puts people like Trump in power because no one can criticize him. He's the president. No one can criticize Hasan. He's doing the most. If you're in politics, I'm about to. If you're a person, I'm about to. Okay? If you're in a position of power, I'm about to. Nobody is exempt from criticism, or specifically us expressing our problems. This is why Hasan gets so much criticism from Black women, because they're always like, it's funny that when we criticize you, we can't because you're doing so much. But why is it under white supremacy the largest man with a microphone is a white man? Yes, Hasan is Turkish. But if I was the largest content creator with a microphone, would that not still be a white woman with a microphone? Hasan and I are the exact same kind of white. We're the same. And either of us with the largest microphone is a ridiculous reflection of white supremacy. Okay? Chet said I have plenty of criticism for him, but if you are expecting to have a hero come save America, it's not going to happen. This is a group effort, and that's not what Hasan is doing. Didn't you just say Hasan is the only hope for America? You're the one painting the narrative that he's the savior. And I'm saying, what are you talking about? That's not even our argument. You're the one who said he was the only hope. That's crazy. That's what I'm saying. Habibi, I appreciate you being here, but I might have to mute you for your own good. You know? Chat says, can you give an example of criticism that you would accept, or a criticism that you have taken in the past and adapted to? Guys, I have countless videos on this. My audience can speak on my behalf. I have countless videos of me going over criticisms, changing my opinion. Literally, people never know what box to put me in because every 3 months I've changed my opinion. If my content is 3 months or older, it's outdated. Okay? I am literally the girl. I am the person. I am almost a professional at this point of literally having a different opinion every 3 months because I'm constantly reading and updating. Okay? Constructive criticism, You know, Johnny Depp's a good example. I went back, unlike Hasan, and reviewed Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and changed my opinion on it. Because my audience was like, girl, you got it wrong. And I'm like, let me review. But did Hasan do that? No. Because he's a man and a misogynist. Of course he didn't. And he does suffer from misogyny. You know he does. He does a misogyny way too often. Okay? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. With peace and love. I am that girly and I do it. So if you have something, I will listen to you and I'll take into consideration. Bring the data and girl, I will change my mind. Because you know what I'm really good at? Admitting I was wrong. I'm very good at that. Okay? And I'm wrong a lot. So I'm ready, girl. That's why we review my old content every few years to go, oop, she was wrong there. Oop, she was wrong. Okay? I just want these people to walk the walk. Because that's my only request. It was my only request of Destiny. It's my only request of Hasan. And every time I suggest it to a man, they can't get it. They don't understand what I mean when I say it. Walk the walk. Walk the walk. Chad says, can you give a specific example of an up-to-date recent criticism of yourself from a personal perspective? I don't know what that means. I've been plant-based for a year. That was a big deal. I re-examined my belief about harm reduction when it came to animal consumption. And I just passed my 1-year anniversary of plant-based. Thank you. And I'm on a philosophical journey to possibly be vegan. I'm not there yet, embodied. But is that what you mean? I went from being a girl who makes her own beef jerky to helping people slaughter animals on farms to being plant-based. Hey, girls. So that's a good one. Oh, walk the talk. Walk the walk, walk the talk. Amazon. Yeah, I stopped shopping at Amazon except in like very rare circumstances. So out of the last 12 months, we've shopped there twice versus we used to shop there every week, every like 5 days. What's another one? Yeah, I think those are really good ones. Those are good examples, you know? Okay, is everyone happy? Did we reach a consensus? Human's gonna human, you know, as we say.